Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk coming at you with 5 records in 5 minutes. This time, these records are worth about $10, according to median value on Discogs. This does not necessarily reflect the true value of the album. Some of them are probably worth more, and some of them are probably worth less, depending on your tastes. So let's start it off with one of my favorite bands. Except this is not one of my favorite albums by one of my favorite bands. So this is Slater Kinney, The Center Won't Hold. I even have the final Vinyl Me Please version that I paid somewhat more than $10 for. So this was the second album in their comeback after their long hiatus. The first one, No Cities to Love, was a pretty good comeback. Sounded like a good Slater Kinney record. This one was produced with St. Vincent. On paper, sounded like a great idea. This is not a good record. Janet Weiss either got pushed out or left basically because she didn't like this record either. The record that followed isn't any good either, so Slater Kinney's kind of lost me. Now here's one from Dad's collection. So here's David Crosby, If Only I Could Remember My Name. So this was and that Slater Kinney record, I believe, was from 2018 or so. This record by David Crosby, I didn't write down the years, but I'm pretty sure it's like about 1971 or so. And so, of course, this was a solo record after some of the early Crosby, Stills, and Nash stuff. And you can see, of course, that this is the gatefold. It's basically a who's who of folk rock at that time period. Graham Nash, Neil Young, Phil Lesh, Mickey Hart, Paul Kantner, and Greg Raleigh, Grace Slick, Joni Mitchell. So yeah, it's basically a who's who of that era of rock in the early 70s. Let's switch gears completely. This is a band from Rwanda. And this is something that I'd gotten in my VCLT from Russ at Mama's Records several months ago. So the band is called The Good Ones. The album is called Kigali Izahabu. And somewhat like the David Crosby record, this is folk rock, although this is, of course, African folk rock. This was released in 2010 on the Dead Oceans album. My understanding is that they were the first Rwandan band to receive sort of a worldwide release. And of course, there is a lot of, as they describe, plaintive love songs by genocide survivors, because of course, the terrible recent history in Rwanda. Let's go a little bit more with some power pop, some jingle pop. 1984, Zeitgeist translates slowly. And so this is on the DB record label. And if you're going, I don't know much or anything about Zeitgeist, well, this was the only record they released under this name. So they were Austin, Texas-based group, sort of a jingle pop group. They released subsequent albums under the name The Reavers because apparently somebody else had used the Zeitgeist name, and so they didn't get to use it again. And so there you go. We're in some classic high school gym there. And then finally, I'm going to show you not one but two records from my Zed section of my record collection. So here we have Zed Top Eliminator. So this is obviously a very well-known record. And so it's approximately worth $10 on Discogs. The original purchaser, the Kmart sticker is still there, paid $7.97, plus presumably some sales tax, depending on where they bought it. I bought it in, we're getting the glare, but I bought it in an antique mall, I think about a year or two ago. I left on the antique mall price tag sticker because I was so proud of paying $1 for this record. So this was one of those rare classic rock for $1 in antique mall scores, because those records always go away. They'll leave you the $1 Jim Reeves, but not the $1 ZZ Top.